Well, welcome to the first episode of Generation to Generation, Bridging the Gap with Rex
and Eva.
So excited for this first episode.
So happy y'all here.
Yeah, and we've had a good time with this, doing the prep work and just learning about podcasting. And both of us have learned some things that we didn't know, and we will
a lot of stuff.
Oh yeah, and we're going to continue to learn a lot of stuff. But we're going to give you the genesis of the podcast, and then we want to introduce ourselves so that you can find out a little bit about both of us, and we're kind of lay the groundwork for what we hope to accomplish in the coming episodes. But here's the thing. Matter of fact, before we even get into here's the thing, let's kind of tell them who we are.
Yeah,
and so
really
you
smart.
go first.
Okay.
Tell them a little bit about Eva.
Okay, so hi, my name is Eva. I am 17 years old. He is my father. I have a lot to learn from him. I am a junior in high school at a international Christian homeschool. I plan to go to Highlands College. I currently have an internship with a video game company, which I think is super cool. I'm very techie, creative, things like that. And then I want to pursue a career in entertainment, business, and management. Don't exactly know what that details, but I have a little fun fact. I am really obsessed with ducks. Absolutely want a duck.
Ducks.
I've been denied owning a duck. I like rubber duckies and all of the little duck trinkets I have, but I want a pet duck. I want a duck in diapers that lives in my house, and I have been denied it. I've been told no, and we don't live in a place where I can have an outdoor duck. I know a little too much about pop culture. I think that takes up about 30% of my brain. All of my knowledge in math just goes out the window, and it's been replaced by pop culture. And I do the Macarena any chance I get to any song or any beat, or there really doesn't have to be a song. I just do it. You'll see me over here doing the Macarena, and I get all the little kids I babysit to do it with me, and it's a lot of fun. So,
yeah, well, let me make two comments about that. Number one, denied, that is an extremely harsh and strong word. You have been denied.
Countless times, by the way.
Yeah, it sounds like you put in some type of formal request on some kind of government form.
Who says I did it? No, I'm kidding.
We just said, hey, we don't think that we are set up to handle ducks. So at the moment, that request has been tabled. Have you ever heard that term, tabled?
Isn't it where you just set it aside?
Yeah, you set it aside for the moment. So let's just set that aside.
Yeah.
You have not been denied.
Don't worry. I'll own one when I get my own place one day.
Yeah, your own
Let's
place.
just pray if I'm renting, my landlord allows it.
Yeah,
so.
well, talk to your landlord. And then the second comment, the Macarena, that is kind of interesting in itself because you love to dance, you love to sing, and you will break out in the Macarena at any point. Matter of fact, we were at a concert a couple of weeks ago, your mother and I, and we took you with us. It was the 50th anniversary of Journey. And they did such a phenomenal job here at the BJCC in Birmingham. And anyway, one of the songs that Journey broke out in.
It was Toto.
Oh, it was Toto.
So Toto
yeah.
by Africa opened.
Yes.
And so here's a little backstory. So
Okay,
like I said, I'm at a homeschool. We're sorted into this house system, kind of think Harry Potter, but make it Christian. And I'm in House Augustine, fan the flame. But Augustine is from Africa. And so at the end of all of our calls or at our prom and stuff, we dance to Africa by Toto. And the only dance you can do over Zoom that actually shows up is the Macarena. And so you do the Macarena to Africa by Toto, and it's to beat and everything. And so at the concert, I did the Macarena to Africa by Toto. And at the end of the show, two ladies walked up to me and they said, "We saw you across the stadium and we wanted to make sure you know that's the wrong song." And I said, "I don't know what you're talking about. You can do the Macarena to any song." And they said, "We're going to have to go home and try that." And so see, I'm just spreading the love of the Macarena, keeping it alive. It's no longer just a wedding trend. I just get everybody to do it.
Which is a great point about the podcast in terms of generation to generation. Sometimes we can get set in our ways, and these ladies, they had the greatest intent to help you out and let you know that, hey, you're not supposed to be doing that. And we're like, well, you can do it to more than one song. So anyway, let me tell you a little bit about me, and then we'll get back into the purpose of the podcast over the long haul. But I am a 64-year-old dad. I'm an older dad, and that's been an interesting dynamic for us. There's advantages both ways when you have a younger dad, when you have an older dad. And I spent 22 years on active duty in the Army. I'm probably the only guy that you're ever going to meet that survived a parachute not opening. And that we will save that for another episode. But yeah,
that's a good story. You're just full of stories. Like
I am full of
I feel like
stories.
some episodes it's going to be you talking a lot because you just got so many stories in my comments. But I've been hearing these my entire life, and I never get tired of them. So
Well, and you've always said that since you were a little girl. Hey, Daddy, tell me a story. And again, that's part of this whole podcast journey together. But had a parachute, didn't open in the Army. Spent 10 years in the commercial construction industry, and then now I have the privilege to serve on a staff at a church as a pastor, and really, really enjoy that. That's my ultimate life's calling. And then a couple of other fun facts, other than the parachute, I grew up across the street from Elvis Presley in Memphis at Graceland. There's one challenge with that though. Yeah, blue suede shoes, hound dog, all that stuff. Elvis's side of the street was a lot different than my side of the street. That's all I'm going to say. We'll pick that up in, again, another episode. But grew up across the street from Elvis. And then let's see the other fun fact. When I was 23 years old, I had the privilege to eat lunch at the White House with Ronald Reagan.
That's I'm still a little like blown away by that. As a big Madam Secretary fan, I find that extremely cool to like go to the White House. So
yeah, and you hadn't been to the White House yet, right?
I haven't been to DC at all.
We have not taken you to DC. You've been to multiple foreign countries. You've had some great experiences in your 17 years, but we have not taken you to DC yet. Now, we were talking about that in the car the other night.
Yeah, we were.
Yeah,
We were rewatching Madam Secretary for like the third time, and so we were talking about how there's so much history there that I don't know anything about, and we're both big history fans.
Yep.
I mean, my mother is too. So
yeah, and speaking of your mother, even though this is a daddy-daughter podcast, we're going to bring Mom on for different episodes. People will love Mom more than they love us.
Oh, for sure. I mean, everybody's going to be like, where is Lisa? Like, we like YouTube, but where is Lisa?
That is the story of our life, right?
Yeah.
Everybody will, wherever we go.
Yes.
Hey, where's Lisa at?
Where's Lisa? Like,
Yeah.
she may like not be there, and they'll be like, hi, how are you? Where is Lisa? Where's your mom? I'm like, you don't even want to see us. We're just accompanying her everywhere.
So we are going to bring her in, I think right now on the fourth episode.
Probably,
I'm going to take episode 2, give you a little bit more about my story with the parachute and Elvis and growing up in Memphis, Tennessee, and then moving to Arkansas. There's a whole story behind that. Tell you a little bit about that, and then
I'll take episode 3.
Yep.
I may only be 17, but I've done a lot in my life so far, and unfortunately, there are a couple years I don't remember, just because we've done a lot, and so I find myself. They'll be like, "Do you remember going here?" And I'm like, "No, not at all." I have. It's unfortunate, but I will get to share it. It may not be as long as his story, but I feel like it can be impactful to some people, and it just lets you get to know me and get to know who I am, because this short episode isn't going to get like I'm just all over the place. So you're always going to learn something new, because I'll forget to tell you in the second episode or third episode.
Yeah, you are a lot like your mother in that respect. You guys are the party's waiting to happen. And so, and here's something else that the audience will probably be interested in. We're both adopted.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think that will obviously come out in episode 2 for me, but in episode 3, it'll come out for you. And I think that'll be of interest to our audience. So let's kind of wrap this up. on this first
Yeah.
session. And here's really the genesis of the podcast. We live in the most divisive culture ever. It's just full of people antagonizing each other, just divisive, derisive. People say things they never would have said even 10, 20 years ago. We have a tendency to hide behind social media. We all know that. But one of the things that you and I have really talked about, and Mom, Lisa, as a family, is we don't buy this generational gap, even though it is a term. I think it's social media driven and it's media driven in general, that there is this generational gap that is continuing to widen. And I even saw somebody post the other day on their own social media post, and they said, hey, they were giving advice to older people, and they said, hey, just leave the younger generation alone. We don't vibe with them. This was a 60-plus-year-old person talking and said, hey, we don't even vibe with them.
All the wisdom that they have and all their life experience, they're just leaving us to make their same mistakes if they don't talk to us and don't share their wisdom with us. And
Precisely.
I know, like the whole thing, we're all labeled. I'm a Gen Z. He's a boomer. They want to hate on both of us because we're both in generations that I guess experienced big culture changes. They grew up right before technology. We're growing up where we have nothing but technology. And so there's a lot of boomers and Gen Z love to hate on each other. And I really feel like that the identity that the society tries to put us in and like the category, it doesn't fit, because all you're doing is isolating and you're not able to share your wisdom and your guidance, because how are you going to prevent the Gen Z from making your same mistakes and learning the lessons you learned in life if you don't talk to them because you're scared of them or they're scared of you? So
yeah, absolutely. And
wrote my
the
thesis on that.
Yeah, and the way that I like to describe that is, hey, there are characteristics of each generation. My generation, we didn't have internet. There were 3 cable TV networks, and I know that's hard for you to believe, but they turned the TV off at midnight and played the national anthem. Kid you not. The American flag.
America would never now.
What?
I said I don't think America could handle that now.
No, they could not
I watch
handle it.
most of my shows between like 10 to 2 a.m., 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. Like,
Yeah, you're kind of a night owl.
I am.
Yeah,
I told him last night, I was like, we can film these at night, right? He's like, I won't be awake. I'm the most productive between like 9 and 3. So, yeah.
Yeah, and that's a great point in itself. You got to know when you're at 100%, and that time of day is different for all of us. But you and your mom, man, y'all are night owls. But at any rate, back to characteristics, there are just characteristics that do apply to each generation, but that does not have to define us. Just because I fall in this label of boomer, that doesn't mean that you can automatically identify what I believe about a particular subject or what I'm going to think about a particular thing. And that brings us to values. What brings us together as generations is the values that we hold dear. And that's really something that I wanted to pass to you from your grandfather. And that's kind of how I'm going to wrap up with a story here in the moment about my dad and us being able to talk from generation to generation. But let's just make sure that we've got that clear. We don't want to focus on labels. We want to focus on values, and we want to pass that from generation to
Absolutely.
generation.
We want to pass the torch, to the next generation, teach the generations, my generation, Generation Alpha, and the generations before me, how to have conversations with the people that come after them, because there's always going to be a gap, and you can't let that define you and box you up, because all you're doing is hindering progress and hindering conversation and hindering relationship. And so we want to bring our different perspectives to the table and just, share our lives and make it fun and exciting. Sorry, I was reading my note. And
No. Hey, we are going to have, matter of fact, that's a promise. We're going to have fun on the podcast. No question is off limits. And we're going to show you a father and a daughter. And when mom is here, just a guest, a family unit, no question is off limits. We may not know the answer, but no question is off limits during the discussion. We're going to address a variety of topics over the coming episodes, things that teenagers deal with. I don't even want to get into the list today, but here's how we're going to close. Are we doing okay on time?
Oh, we're doing great.
Okay.
Mute myself.
Yeah, you're pushing buttons over here on the soundboard.
I was coughing, y'all.
All right, you're fine. Hey, here's how we're going to wrap episode 1 up. My dad was just an incredible father figure. Got a lot right, got a lot more right than he got incorrect. But Dad always told me, he said, son, I just want us to be able to talk. And I can remember him saying that, when I was 7, 8, 10 years old. And I thought, okay, that's nice. But he continued to say it throughout the course of my life. And he was like, son, I just want us to be able to talk. And when my dad passed away, I can't believe Paul, as you called him, and you named him Paul.
We're Southern. What can we say?
We're Southern. What can we say? He's been gone 8 years now. Yeah, passed away in 2015, so 9 years. Yeah, hard to believe. But
I was 8.
Yeah, you were 8 years old. And so when Paul passed away, the last week of his life, he was still very coherent, knew what was going on. And I pulled up a chair next to his bed, and I said, I was just so grateful to my dad for the life that he gave me, the advantages, the security, the stability, the things that he taught me, the values that he taught me, the role model that he was. I was just so grateful throughout all of my life. And I wanted to tell him just one more time. And so I pulled the chair up next to him and I said, hey, Dad, I said, I really need you to know that you and Mom did a great job. You really did good. And he looked at me and he thought a minute and he said, well, son, he said, I just wanted to make sure that we could always talk. And so that's the goal of the podcast, is we pass values from generation to generation, that you and I, Eva, that your mother, that all of us, and even our guests and the people that are going to listen in, that we can always talk from generation to generation.
Hey, if you liked our episode, please make sure to like and follow, and wherever you listen to your podcasts. We're getting our social set up, and we'll let you know about them in the next episode. Have a good day.